All right, so this is the ZNs. Now, the time period that this looks similar to me, based in terms of where we are in terms of that intermediate term cycle and our position relative to it, is like this. This is what I was highlighting last week as the alternate scenario. Obviously, we saw a turn to green in the RS on the weekly. You saw a rally, so it was a possible early low. That's why we have had that shift. But we always have to be aware of what would put the older cycle back in play. And that would be if it turns back red. And you can see it turned back red at the close there. And then you saw one more move down before you formed a low and got another rally after that. So we just have to see what happens. But this time period back in May, June of 2022 looks very similar to what we are seeing right now, where we had a turn back to green. And then this actually closed a lot weaker than I thought it was going to. As soon as it closed a little bit weak, I said, wait a second, look at what's happening here. And then obviously on CPI, we are seeing now, in my opinion, likely a bear flag is an increasing likelihood. And we're going to get one more move down here to probably a lower low versus that low at 107.60. So keep this older cycle timing in mind. Again, right around mid-March is when that key trough is due. A washout here on the downside in notes, and then in my opinion, be looking for a turn back to the upside. Again, this is all based on some of the evidence that we're looking at. Look at the RS. Use that to help. If a key intermediate term trough is formed, normally you'd see the RS translate positively. What does that mean? Meaning simply be green for most of that cycle, right? You'd be looking at a translation that looks like that in terms of the RS, and then a shorter period of red, right? What are we getting? At least for now, we are seeing green, but halfway through that cycle bracket, right? That ideal cycle, we're already turning red. Does it hold red? If it holds red, guess what that means? That means that we are seeing a price move that is net bearish, obviously, and there is a 61.8 at around 108.085. We're already seeing trade below that, 78.6 at 107.27, 107.260. We do have a mid-cycle low here that is due. So on an uptick, watch that closely. If it's weak and you then start to see price curl its way back down, the RS on the daily holds red. Again, visualize the opportunities. That is what so much of trading is all about, is just visualizing the opportunities. What scenarios, are likely to play out? What's the alternate case? What should happen to the indicators, right? All of that will help you to formulate a trading plan for yourself. And this is what I'll be watching for, is for this RS to be holding red on the rally. RS to be holding red on the daily time frame on a minor trough here, for that RS to be holding red. If that happens and we start to see price failure back on the downside, then guess what? We would be setting up for a test of lows. So that's what I'll be looking at in terms of this opportunity. And hopefully that was helpful to really outline it in terms of the indicators, in terms of our levels. Watch very closely off of this trough for what happens to that RS on the daily. Does it hold red? What the indicators are really good for, in my mind, is simply to help to filter some of the noise that we get in price, right? So that's why I'm trying to just highlight what I'm looking for in terms of the indicators, so there are less nuances or subjectivities that you have to be thinking about. If you're simply following the indicators, if the RS on the daily is going to hold red on a bounce, that would raise the odds that you're looking at. If you just draw this from a series of, this is a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? We're seeing, if you're looking at this on like a 2-hour chart or something, this is a little bit of a shift in trend that's happening. So we need to be aware of this and have some insight in terms of what that means. Hopefully it was helpful to go into a little bit more detail on the notes.